Hey guys, welcome to Yoganuary day 12. So far in Yoganuary, can't even say the name of my own challenge. So far we've looked at meditation, we've looked at breathing, and then obviously I've given you flows and some focus on some of the asana practice. Now, one of the things that is so crucial when you are practicing your asana practice is the introduction of bandhas. So if you're thinking, what the hell is a bandha? I'm going to chat to you about it now. And this is very much a beginner's introduction to bandhas. I'm not going to go too deep. I just want, for our challenge today, I want for you to be able to locate your bandhas and just sit with them for a moment and work through them. So yes, it's not a big challenge, but it might be actually, because they're kind of a bit tough to locate when you first start looking into it. So we have three bandhas. We have Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha and Jalandhar Abanda. And when all three of them are combined, it's Maha Bandha. So there's only a few asana poses in which Maha Bandha is used, but I'm going to talk you through each one and give you kind of like a top line of each one. So starting from the bottom up, we will first look at Mula Bandha. Now this is probably, if you've heard any of them spoken about in a yoga class, that's probably the one that you're going to have heard of, because this is our root lock. So the word bandha translates, bandha is a Sanskrit word and it translates into lock or to tighten. So I know our bandhas, for me, I call them my energy locks. They're where I seal everything together and hold things in. So Mula Bandha, also obviously relating, if you know much about chakras, you've got your Muladhara chakra, which is your root chakra. So Mula Bandha is our root. And it's in a similar place to your pelvic floor. So for any ladies watching this, you've probably had to engage your pelvic floor muscles a few times, and you probably have to engage them a bit as well when you need to pee. I'm going to put a diagram on the screen right now so you can see exactly where Mula Bandha is located. So you'll see that it's by the perineum, and by contracting the perineum, the downward moving energy is forced to go upwards. So Mula Bandha is bringing our energy upwards. We're lifting everything. So anything trying to go down, we are lifting it. So we use Mula Bandha, I would probably say, throughout a practice, because it's what's keeping us lifted, it's what's keeping us strong and stable. So it's a really, really good one to work with. So that's a really, for anybody that obviously is a yoga practitioner and knows the much deeper side of bandhas, then I apologize that I'm not going deeper into it. I just wanted to give everybody a top line, because I want everybody, while they're practicing my next Yoganuary videos, to be able to just take some focus to the bandhas and also know what I'm talking about when I maybe bring them up in a flow. Moving on to Uddiyana Bandha. So Uddiyana Bandha is kind of, so it's about, I'm going to show you. I'm going to kneel up, you might not be able to see my face. So Uddiyana Bandha is around about here. So it's just below the belly button and just above the pelvis. And it's that kind of feeling of drawing inwards and upwards again. Let me come back down to the floor. Uddiyana Bandha is also known as our abdominal lock or our upward flying lock. So it's something that really, again, keeps us lifted. And when you hear your teacher say, draw in the lower belly or draw up the lower belly, that's what they're referring to. And a lot of the time, that's a really nice way of learning where it is. It's getting that inwards and upwards scoop and that lift without sucking in the tummy. It's just an inner lift. During your asana practice or your yoga practice, it's important that we're not holding the breath. So I think a lot of the time when you think of holding the tummy in or lifting the tummy up, we then forget about the breath and we hold the breath in order to do that. That's not what Uddiyana is. It's more of a subtle approach to that. So it's kind of an inward and upward lift while still keeping the breath. So let's just try that together. So try and find that inward and upward lift, and then breathe. If you know your Ujjayi breath, work with that. And we'll just take 5 breaths together. Really nice. And were you able to keep the focus? Because obviously once you let go of the focus, you sometimes, or most of the time, will let go of the lock as well. So that's your Uddiyana Bandha. Again, you would have seen the diagram, so you know whereabouts it's located. And I want you to work today on just finding those locations and taking some breaths and then bringing it into your practice. The third bandha is Jalandhar Abanda. So this is our throat lock. So the important thing to remember here is a lot of the time we see a teacher saying to engage Jalandhar Abanda, and then students, and I, before I knew much about it, would do the same. You just drop the head and think, right, I've done it. Dropping the chin to the chest, I've done it. But what Jalandhar Abanda is, it's a connection of the chest to the chin, closing off the throat, but it's a lift. It's still a lift. So it's stopping any energy from going out the top of the head. So by closing off the throat, we're locking all that energy down. So you often, naturally you'd find this actually in shoulder stand, because in shoulder stand, we are forced into that position. Another pose that you'll see it in is Dandasana. Dandasana is just sitting, hands down by the sides. And this is one of those postures that uses all 3 bandhas. So while I'm here, I'm using Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, and Jalandhar Abanda. So all in all, I've got Mula Bandha happening in my body. I've got this full lock of energy. The energy is staying still and it's able to nourish my body. So prana, the energy, is traveling all around my body and it's not escaping from anywhere because I've got all of my locks switched on. Aside from the asana practice, Jalandhar Abanda is actually used more regularly in your pranayama practice, so your breathing practice, where we would breathe and then we'd retain the breath, and then to retain the breath, you drop the chin, lift the chest, engage Jalandhar Abanda, and then we've got the breath retention happening. So that's where you'd hear more about Jalandhar Abanda, is when we're talking about the breath. One thing to mention with Jalandhar Abanda, just because this is a video and I don't know who's watching it, it is one of those, especially when practicing pranayama techniques, just if you suffer with blood pressure issues or like dizziness, just be careful when retaining the breath and sending that chin down that, nothing crazy happens. But the important thing is to listen to the body and to, not be retaining the breath for too long or anything like that. So hopefully that gave you a bit of an insight into what bandhas are. So now when you go to your practice or you're practicing at home, you can work on engaging them, or you at least know what your teacher is talking about, because it's hard in a group class as a teacher to explain every single little thing because we want to keep the class flowing. So it's nice, hopefully, for you guys to have videos like this where I can try and explain some of the basics to you. So your challenge for today is to just work on those bandhas, add them into your practice, maybe do one of my smaller flows, which I'll link to below, and the whole time you're doing the flow, have the intention of working on the bandhas. It's a really, really nice way to do it, and some of the flows that I've linked to are only about 10 to 15 minutes long and they're not too tough. So enjoy doing that. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow.